Hey guys, I'm Danny Rules and this is Authentic Awakening, bringing you another session from the Psychic Shed. So, today, I wanted to talk to you about something. So, I woke up and I felt this underlying feeling that I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was this morning. And I had breakfast with my girlfriend and made coffee and things like this. This underlying feeling was still there. It was just constantly there. And then I noticed I had this weird sort of anger and resentment towards her. I've been talking to you all a lot about parts therapy and sorry, I'm not long woke up. And how to recognize different parts of the self. So this is excellent. We don't have to do a meditation. We can just do this anytime we want. So I focused on that feeling, and I stayed with it, and then I just kept feeling this sort of anger and resentment towards her, like she was really annoying me, and then I recognised this pain behind it. So I stayed with the anger and the resentment, and I stayed with the pain, and then I realised that it was coming from a complete place of lack and loss, and when I meditated, it's really good to meditate every day, and sometimes things clear in your head when you meditate. So when I meditated, I took these feelings with me. Meditation's not always about clearing your head. Meditation is great when we've got these tools in life that we want to use. It's a time when we can really focus inwards. Okay, so I took these feelings with me into my meditation, which was only about 15 minutes, and I stayed with them, and then I recognized that the anger and the resentment that I had towards my partner today came from a feeling of betrayal, and she hasn't actually betrayed me, but there's a part of me that knows or knew she's not gonna, she might do, she might not, but like, it doesn't matter. There's a part of me that felt like or knew that she was going to betray me in the future. So because I wasn't worthy, or I wasn't deserving of constantly having her love, and that, yeah, that was basically what it was. So I talked to that part, and I told that part why it felt that way, and where it was coming from. So let's look a little bit about where it was coming from. So I'm going to step a little bit off track today, and talk to you about there's been a wave of people that have been born into this age at the moment that are authentic. See, normally what happens is when we're born, like I told you, to fit into a family, to immediately make a relationship, then we disown certain aspects of ourselves, and we enhance other aspects. But a lot of people can actually change who they are, so that they can create this persona that fits into their family and that is accepted and recognized. And these people, they lose sense of self. But there's been a massive wave of us that have been born that can't do that. We can't change who we are. We're authentic. We get labeled ADHD, or, there's all these different types of disorders: ADHD, ADD, I don't know, Asperger's. There's loads of different. I can't think off the top of my head. It's too early, but we get labelled. But the fact is, we're not designed to change. We cannot change. We're here to change the world. We're here to change the things around us. The world has to change because there's too many of us coming through, and we don't fit into the social system. But what happens? Okay, so we can't change who we are. So we're born into a family. We do disown and we shut down certain aspects of ourselves, and you know, and these create wounded parts that we carry throughout our life. And especially when you get into your late 30s, early 40s, all these wounded parts start coming to the surface in your Uranus opposition. Some people call this midlife crisis, you know, whatever. But yeah, all this stuff starts coming out. So we can't change who we are. And so we become the black sheep of the family. And this is the path of the warrior. So you're going to walk through life carrying that burden and feeling that pain. And I've been hearing a lot of different things off a lot of different people lately. And so many people at the moment, you know, whether you're in a relationship and, you know, you're becoming over paranoid and angry towards somebody and things like this. You know, there's lots of things playing out at the moment. Massive anxieties coming up. Okay, so I just want you to focus and see what that pain or that anxiety is mirroring, because it's going to be mirroring a lack somewhere within you. And so with mine, with my anger and resentment and maybe my betrayal, as I was being brought up, my mum was a pathological narcissist. So she ran hot and cold. She was very, very manipulative. So I came under the category of disorganized attachment. And a lot of people with ADHD are classed as having disorganized attachment as well. But it's basically when your main carer becomes your main threat. So as a child, your natural instinct is to run towards that person, but actually that person is very abusive and is your main threat. But it can be even worse when they can be really nice in front of people. So then you're lulled into a false sense of security and then constantly attacked again and again and again. And this makes us really struggle through life because we're constantly, this pattern plays out where we fall into a false sense of security and then we constantly get attacked again and again and again. So this is the type of people that we attract into our lives. But when actually somebody good does come along, then like me today, my partner's bloody awesome. She's really cool. She's a counsellor as well. She's very, very conscious, very aware. But yeah, if I was to let this play out, if I was to let my feelings take over and I didn't recognise them for what they were, I'd be checking her phone. I'd be projecting that anger onto her. Teal Swan does an amazing video on projection. If you can, please watch it. I'd be projecting that anger onto her. So I'd be checking her phone. She'd be feeling like I don't trust her. And she'd be feeling trapped and enclosed. And so the result of this would be her needing space. So she'd push me away. Whenever she moved away, I'd feel like I was being rejected, so I tried to hold on tighter. And this is what would happen, and this is what plays out with a lot of our relationships. If you can, watch Brianna McWilliams' Anxious Attachment and Avoidant Attachment. These are really good videos to understand what's playing out. But I just want all of you to know that this pain is coming up now because it's ready to be healed. It's not an easy path. It's not supposed to be an easy path, but you're more than capable, okay? And the way we start, the first thing you can start with is by owning your pain, owning your mistrust, your feelings of betrayal, owning your resentment. So that's not projecting it onto the other person. Stay with the feeling. Be present with the feeling. I know how hard it is. I really do. Believe me. Just stay with it. Look at your childhood. Recognize where you felt this in your childhood. Okay, this takes us to the origins and self-soothe that part, change your inner dialogue towards it. Normally, like, you know, we'll get angry towards this part and things like this, but try and change that. So just tell that part of yourself that you recognize and you understand where it's coming from and why it feels that way and why it mistrusts. And you know, it's perfectly normal for that part of you to mistrust the world because of the upbringing that it's had. So just be present with that part, give it love, give it nurture, give it what it needs. And I know it's really hard, but let the external stuff, try and let it go, and just keep bringing it back to yourself. Understand where this is coming from in yourself, and look at what it's what it's reflecting, and just be present with it. I know this is a hard road. I'm going to do some more hypnotherapy or meditation videos on working with the parts. So just stay tuned and just realize you're not alone, okay? And what you're feeling, like where you feel the whole world is completely unsafe and you can't trust anything, just realize that it's understandable and it's perfectly normal. And if you feel like crying, cry. You know, it's just recognize and accept your emotions. Don't try to push them down anymore, because you've been taught, you've been trained to suppress your emotions. But you know, emotions are there naturally for a reason, that help us release and process stuff. So you're holding all this stuff that hasn't been released, hasn't been processed, and it's coming up. So now's the time to recognize and accept it, and let it free, okay? And I really appreciate you. Okay, so by the way, this doesn't just have to play out in relationships. This can play out in any aspect of life, any aspect at all. So if you're single and you're feeling that anger and resentment towards the world, or towards different parts of yourself, just be present with it, okay, guys? And stay strong. Give yourself the love as well and the acceptance that you need. And thanks for listening, and we'll catch up soon. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.